Hello, beautiful people. I hope you're having an amazing day. You are a star, just like these beautiful stars in the back here. Don't let anybody dim your light. Today, we're going to talk about The Matrix Resurrections. I watched it the other day. Absolutely amazing. Loved it. Really good insight, some beautiful Easter eggs, okay, and some, predictive programming, okay? They just, a lot of these movies, just go under the radar with their truths and at the same time push some messages into our subconscious mind so that it can come into fruition in our reality. Now, absolutely amazing film, beautiful work by Keanu Reeves and all the other actors, the guys who created it. It was very funny at the start where they were just mocking how to recreate, spoiler alert, how to recreate the Matrix, right? When Mr. Anderson, aka Neo, didn't realize he was in a simulation. Anyways, long story short, the end was quite interesting, the little messages that they were putting out there. And, this was based on the resurrection of, the main characters, Neo and Trinity, right? So what I gathered from this film, okay, mind-blowing, but at the same time, a little terrifying to know that this is what's gonna be happening in the future, okay? So we've got the analyst, okay? The analyst, aka the therapist, who's disguised as a therapist, spoiler alert, in the film. And what happens is this analyst, okay, is the artificial intelligence, okay, within the system. And you've also got Agent Smith, who runs the system itself. And then you've got, of course, Neo, who awakens to the illusion of the Matrix, which essentially is a metaphor to our reality, in the concrete jungle, right? In, the words of spells, in, paying your taxes and, fucking going to your job and, religion and fear and all these things come into this Matrix, this measurement of reality where, it's very three-dimensional, where it's very dense, where it's very, how do I say it? It's tangible. It's very tangible. Anyway, so this was a great film that had some funny messages at the end of the film, right? And, Neo and Trinity come to realize they're in a simulation, and what happens is that they were resurrected, okay, and their consciousness, okay, was put into a new body, right? So this is just another form of way of saying this could be possibly the future. And it's only terrifying when we allow these things to happen, but at the same time, it's inevitable because the people in power are going to create this, especially with the fact that, they're already creating meats that are pretty much replicated like animal flesh, right? In labs through stem cell regeneration, blah, blah, blah. But the one key ingredient that I gathered from this, right? Absolutely powerful. I loved it. Was the fact that these people, right? You've got the Cabal, the Illuminati, Rothschild, the people that are running the big show behind the Matrix, right? This great illusion that we've been born into, right? This system, right? Is that they understand how powerful love is, right? Especially the love that Neo had for Trinity and Trinity had for Neo. They had a very, very powerful love, like a twin flame love, a soulmate love, that it could destroy the system. And that's what it does, because they understood that when you're in love, you cannot be controlled. But when you're in fear, you can be controlled, right? So absolutely amazing storyline on the last one. And, when they discovered that, rediscovered that, because love is what you are, you've always been love. When they rediscovered that, they managed to, awaken the system. And that's what can happen when you go through your own awakening journey. You start to realize, okay, I shouldn't be eating this. Why do I believe that? Those are not my thoughts. I am not this. This is not who I am. Okay. And slowly you start to see the system crumble, and you start to see how everyone's consciousness is at a different level. And then, you slowly start to see how your world is thoughts, and you start to rebuild your perception on the world again, and start to see it for what it really is, especially outside of the concrete jungle, right? And so when they realized that, it gave them the power, the superpower, okay, to transmute that energy, okay, to not just exit the matrix, right? The matrix, this illusion, this system that we're born into, right? To pay taxes, to go to our job, to work inside four walls, to sit behind a computer, yada yada. But once they realized that, okay, the system, the bots, they knew that that was a threat to their own reality. They understood that the power of love can really threaten, the illusions of this world, right? The other things as well, you saw like the Easter egg, or the one that I saw was the resurrection, and how they could get the consciousness, resource the consciousness of a being and put it into a new body, right? And still not know, right, that they were in a program, right, until they had people outside of that, remind them that you're in this illusion, right? Which is crazy, because when you wake up, you try your best to wake someone up, but you can't do that unless they take the red pill, right? The red pill willingly. They've got to take the red pill willingly. So this was really, really well scripted, okay? There was some, of course, some things like you've got these animals that were like machines, and then they built this underground world. Like, it was absolutely crazy, like absolutely amazing to see. Some of the old characters as well still exist, but for me, what I gathered was love is the most powerful thing, and it can destroy the system because it cannot be controlled, and that's what you are, right? And when they realized this, they started to get their own powers back, right? They started to play in the matrix, right? Which you can still do, because there's no leaving the matrix. It's always going to be here until everybody awakens, right? We're not all free until we're not free until everybody's free. Got to realize that. So what happens is they understood that, and so they played the game. By the end, they still played the game, knowing that they knew they were in an illusion, right? So when you, obviously, if you understand this, if you've awakened to your own purpose, to your own love, to your own freedom, you'll see that we live in a great illusion. The whole world is a show, right? People are still choosing to comply. People are still choosing to be ignorant because it's a much easier life, right? At the end, they said a very powerful thing about, the sheep will rather live in comfort, right? Even if it was possible to show them the truth, people would much rather live that way, because they knew that it was the easy life, they didn't have to work for anything, right? They might get their money, they might have certain privileges like going to the gym, or going to a fancy restaurant, or traveling when their masters allowed them to. But at the end of the day, you decide, okay, how you want to live your life, okay, based on your own willingness to break out of the patterns, to break out of the cycles of the habits that we've been taught as a child, through the conditioning, through school, through religion, through certain spells in the English language. That's why they call it spelling, right? Because words have power, right? Through certain foods, right? And it takes time. Once you break out of it, it can get so overwhelming. And then you got to go through the dark night of the soul, you know, and reprogram your mind to see the world for what it really is, you know, whether that be through meditation, journaling, okay, getting into nature most days, okay, realizing that the concrete jungle no longer serves you, that the certain jobs no longer serve you, some people no longer serve you, and free your mind. Once you free your mind, right, you start to see the illusion for what it is, and it's hard to go back, because once you've awakened, okay, once you've taken the red pill, you see that this is not how humans were meant to be. Humans were meant to be living in communities, in nature, you know, drinking fresh water that's not full of fluoride, right? That we're meant to be eating fruits and veg and, you know, eating directly from nature and living in symbiosis with nature. And right now, that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing more people get plugged in, you know, especially with the metaverse, right? We're seeing the metaverse come to life. That's the matrix. That's the matrix that's going to happen, right? We're seeing that. We're seeing people, you know, spending a lot of time on social media, the television, you know, with the way that cryptocurrency is going, you know, it looks like we're going to move into a more digital world, right? But you've got to learn to understand that this is just an illusion, right? The real world is outside of that. Real world is inside of you. What you see on the outside is a reflection of what you feel and see on the inside, right? So it's all just a mirror from what you feel on the inside. And that love is the most powerful thing, right? It's the most powerful, potent energy that you can have. And we all have it, right? And you can't get it from things like video games and virtual reality and, you know, the outside world, because it comes from within, right? Once you have that love for yourself, you start to magnetize that from others, right? You create this safe space for others to share that with you, right? So absolutely amazing. Obviously some little bit of programming, predictive programming that's going to happen in the future. But at the end of the day, love's all we need. Love's what you are, and you just got to keep rising. That's my take on the new film, you know, The Matrix Resurrection. Absolutely crazy. It's wild to see how that's possible in the future. How do we know we're not in the Matrix ourselves? I know that when I took mushrooms, it did feel like this whole thing's a video game. This whole thing is just a projection from our subconscious mind, right? And none of this really matters, right? You just got to make the most of it with your own knowledge, your own power, and, you know, don't get attached to this world so easily, because you could just as quickly, you know, be unplugged, you know, however that may, whether it be through the attachment of the matrix, to foods, to this world. You know, you just got to keep rising through it and stay strong, right? So, mad film, loved it, absolutely loved it. Let me know, did you watch it? What was your take on it? Did you have a different perspective on it? Were you disappointed? It was very funny to see one of the scenes where everyone who was trying to recreate the Matrix, right, was pretty much like the Hollywood, right? And how they want to get the masses to like consume, and absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. You had like artificial intelligence, you had the system, mind-blowing just to see how what they want to push onto us. And of course you've got, you know, people who are showing us the power of love and just how it can free us. It can free us from slavery, it can free us from bondage, it can free us from attachment. That's the key here. All right, you keep rising, stay woke, blessed and alkalized. Peace and much love. If you haven't added me on Instagram, add us at Daniel John Allen. TikTok, join the Royal Blood family at Daniel J Allen. Okay, Snapchat as well, Daniel John Allen. And for other videos, podcasts, guide, check out danieljohnallen.com. Peace out, much love. I appreciate you. Keep going. Thanks for everyone that's been commenting on the videos lately. I appreciate it. Thanks for resharing the videos as well. And we just keep going. We keep going through this bullshit. We keep going through our own bullshit and realize that your words have power and love is all we need.